They told me it would be a learning curve though, and that's really what kept me in it. But it really took quite some time. I've always been good at learning, but it was like dumbfounding to me that it took so long for me to actually sell. It took me 6 weeks to get my first sale.
Welcome back to another episode of The Zone Presents. I have a guest all the way hailing here from ATL, baby, Mr. Adam James. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? How you
Hey,
doing?
Thanks for coming on the show.
Yes, sir. I love to be here.
Oh, man, we've been wanting to get on here, so thanks for taking the time. Hey, so you're from Atlanta, right? Talk a little about that spot.
It's a good time out there. Born and raised. Was there for 19, 20 years before I moved down here for college. Went to UCF. Basically just had to get out the cold.
Yeah.
Came down here a couple days after Christmas, left 28-degree weather. It was 70 degrees here. I knew it was for me.
So it was too cold in Atlanta, you just said.
Too cold.
I'm from Rhode Island.
Yeah,
A
couldn't
lot
do
colder there.
it. Couldn't do that.
Yeah, I bet, man. So you come down here, you go to UCF,
Mhm.
local school, love it. You play sports?
Played some basketball. Was out there giving them the sauce.
Yeah.
It was a good time for sure.
The sauce, baby. I love it.
That's right.
So what position do you play?
I was point guard and shooting guard.
All right.
Once I finally got a shot, I started to take some more and just never missed that.
Never stop making these. Like, keep taking your shot, brother.
That's right.
So then, what'd you do to make money then?
So at the time, I was not doing anything, right? And because I was coming from out of state, tuition was, a little bit tough, right? And I had joined a fraternity because that's what you do when your grades are failing, right? You join a fraternity, and a guy came in and had introduced us to door-to-door sales.
Interesting.
One of my fraternity brothers had gone out the previous year, and he was pretty successful. And the requirements at the time were that you had to be independent and you had to be making at least $11,000 for yourself to be able to get that in-state tuition.
Oh, wow.
And for me, they came in, gave me the irresistible pitch. I went in for an interview. I had no clue what the job was except for it was sales. And we go out the first day. I realize we're knocking doors, and I'm like, all right, okay. This guy
shocked,
can do
right?
it. Yeah, it was a little something else. The first day was pretty interesting too. But saw somebody do it. I was like, okay, I can definitely do it. This
Yeah.
guy can do it. I can do it, right?
Yeah,
Went out there and gave it a shot, and eventually found success after being just absolute garbage
Yeah.
starting off. So.
Well, talk about that. What was it like not succeeding when you first started?
It was something else. They told me it would be a learning curve though, and that's really what kept me in it. But it really took quite some time. I've always been good at learning, but it was like dumbfounding to me that it took so long for me to actually sell. It took me 6 weeks to get my first sale, and this is me knocking 4 days a week, from 2 o'clock till 9 o'clock. And it was a big shock, but they told me it would be a learning curve, and I knew as long as I never gave up, that I would eventually find success.
So then you get your first sale there, so to speak. And what was that commission check like?
Terrible. it was terrible at the time. It was maybe like $400, which as a college student it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I had all the way till the end of the summer to make 11,000, and that was just my biggest why at the time. That it was either do this or you were paying $16,000 a semester to go to school.
Wow.
Yeah.
So really put in perspective what you needed to accomplish.
Yeah. It was just you set a goal, you gotta accomplish it. You have a timeline. It's you versus you out there.
You're big on that, man. I know that, and that's really cool because now you fast forward. Then how'd you hear about Lumio, or even how'd you hear about solar?
So when I was at the other company, there were people that I was working with at the time that had left to join solar, and it had opened my eyes up to the industry, from selling alarms to going to solar. It was just a product that I could believe in a little bit more. As a college student, I didn't even lock my doors, to be honest with you. But I knew that everybody needed energy, and renewable energy was the way that the market was moving towards. They went out to Lumio, and I went out to another solar company.
Okay.
At the time, had not an ideal experience there.
We hear that a lot, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, basically was just out there working for free. I was throwing in deals, hoping they'd get installed. The 5 to 10 weeks they told us was the install time was more like 5 to 10 months. So that was a little bit of a shock there. But when they came out to Lumio and found success and repeated success, started building their office and growing their office, I was just staying in touch with them and eventually found my way over here after coming on a blitz. A couple months afterwards, I eventually got out here and have been loving it ever since.
Yeah, man, you've progressed extremely fast. I mean, we always say we want to give the people who have been in the industry or people who have been in door-to-door a chance to, not just fast track, but get a chance to go out there and self-gen instead of having to go through every single step. Because if you haven't, if you've had success, you've been a manager or done it before, we're not trying to make skip stats. We want to make you succeed fast. And so tell us about that transition when you went into just self-gen right off the rip and what that was like.
So coming from the previous company, it was I felt a little bit easier for myself because at the other company, we got hired on a Saturday and they threw us in 5 deals on Monday.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quick, right? And with the other company, it was a dealership program where the team was based in Tampa, but we were actually in Atlanta at the time.
Okay.
So we had no help. All we had was a couple phone calls, some standard training. It wasn't sales training, just product knowledge. And they were like, get out there and kill it, right? So at the time, I was with one of our closers that's with us now, Dustin Fultz. And they were just sending us 3 to 5 appointments a day and said good luck, right? We go out there in a month and a half. Between us two, we closed 24 deals. Just using what we learned at the other company and basically, the steps to the sales process and the structure that we learned there to just figure it out, right? Just being a problem solver and knowing that as long as you keep on showing up every single day, you're eventually going to get better and better, and that's what happened. So coming into Lumio as a self-gen, I had already been using you guys' pitch from before.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah. So I knew the knocking doors aspect of it was something that just required me getting in front of enough people. And then coming into Lumio and realizing that there's actually structure here, there's actually a team, there's actually culture, and above anything else, there's training. I just went back to when I had first started in the door-to-door industry and did everything I could to learn as much as possible on top of 2 years experience with that, and it just accelerated my learning curve faster than I could imagine.
I mean, I'll say it. I mean, you're a manager now.
Yeah.
You've grown really fast. I mean, your success is exciting and it's happening and it's just the beginning in a sense. But it's really important to kind of harp on this because I think you're not the only person that's gone through this, where either you've been in the industry of solar or even door-to-door and everyone promises you the world or what they can do. What was really the separated, not just the training and everything, but what really separated us from the rest, even prior to, when you were about to make this decision? What was the deciding factor?
It was really the back-of-house stuff for me that did it because so much with a salesman's job is, really just communicating with the person, letting them know what to expect and the expectations. But none of it means anything if you don't have the back of house that can actually follow up. With the other company, the expectations I was giving people was 5 to 10 weeks for installs. When I came here, my first install happened within 2 weeks. I honestly couldn't believe it. And so much of the back of house makes our job so much easier because everything that we need is right there, right? We have different channels. We have SoFlo. They're building it. It's only getting better every single week. And every single thing that Lumio has done for us has just made our job easier as far as getting quicker install times, getting the customer a better experience, and ultimately just giving us a better experience as sales reps.
Good, man, good. And I think you like the swag, right?
Oh, I love it.
It's one of our models, so yes.
I love it.
5% body fat, Mr. James. I love that. We need guys like you. So yeah, it makes the experience obviously a lot easier to be able to do that. But what advice would you give anybody that's just starting out right now?
So door-to-door sales is one of the hardest things that you could possibly do, but it is also one of the most rewarding things. And sales in itself is in every aspect of life, with relationships, families, friends, just communicating on a day-to-day basis. My biggest advice for someone first starting off is to understand this and realize that it's about the work that you put into it. And the harder that you work, the better that you'll do, right?
Love that.
A lot of times when you're first starting off, the effort is extremely high, and your skill level is low. And over time, those two positions, they swap, where your skill level becomes extremely high, but your effort falls. And I found myself victim to that as well. But really, it's figuring out what you need to be able to balance both of them to keep your skill level extremely high and your effort extremely high. Because at the end of the day, it's literally just about showing up and doing your job. And that's what really takes you farther than anything.
Yeah.
Just having the stamina to continue on day after day.
I mean, you make a really good point. I mean, not that I'm one to talk about this because I don't go to the gym very much, but you know, if you go to the gym and you just talk, no results happen. When you go to the gym, you put up weights, stuff happens, right? So, you know, I think showing up and putting the work in. But I like that. No one's really articulated the fact that, like, you know, your energy's high, but your skill level's low, and then once you get your skill level high, your energy goes low, and we call it complacency of the roller coaster in a sense, because then, you know, you made some good money, and it's like it's easy to slow down. I think it's great. You've been not only consistent, but you always keep rising the bar. It's been tremendous to see this success from you already, man. So it's really good that you're giving some great advice to these guys that are coming up. But another thing too, I know you're a reader. I know you put a lot of time and effort to, you know, getting better to your craft. So what books are you currently reading? What kind of books do you recommend, or if any?
So right now I'm reading Leadership and Self-Deception, as well as Atomic Habits, again, probably my third or fourth time. That was one of my first books that my original sales manager had recommended to me, and it's changed my life more than anything. Partly because it breaks things down into the little things that add up over time to completely change your life. And it takes a lot of stress off of yourself, and people that have extremely large goals and they're worried about how they're going to get there. Because we set our goals, and sometimes we have a plan, sometimes we don't have a plan. Sometimes our goals are realistic, sometimes they're not, right? And when you really break it down in how Atomic Habits does, it's basically the systems that you focus on. The things that you do every single day are what's going to get you to that level that you want to be at. And when you break it down into these systems, it's bite-sized pieces that you can constantly feel yourself moving forward and find happiness in. Where even if your day doesn't go as you planned it to, you still feel like you accomplished something. And day after day, week after week, month after month, it adds up so that by the end of it, you are phenomenal. And it never really ends. So the systems are what guide you. You stay unattached to the outcome and focused on the input.
I love that. Stay focused and unattached to the outcomes.
Yes, sir.
I love it, man. So, James, I appreciate you coming on, brother. I think it's important. You've grown not only since you've been here, but you're growing physically every time I see you. So keep it up in your day-to-day and your work life, but more importantly, keep up with helping the rest of these guys get better. I see your team growing fast, man. Keep it up.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yes, sir.